In this clip, we're going to discuss two different types of oversight method. One is fire alarm, the other is police patrol. So as the name suggests, fire alarm means that we ask the consumer or the constituents to report the misbehavior of the agent to the principal. So the principal does not exert any effort in monitoring the agent unless someone brings some complaints to the principal about the agent. On the very contrast, police patrol is that the principal actively exert effort in monitoring agents' work. You can think of that as your boss wandering around your cubicle trying to monitor whether or not you are on Facebook during your work hour. So that is more like police patrol. So there is an argument that can be made why fire alarm is more efficient. So let me lay out the two arguments. So the two argument is that fire alarm is more effective than police patrol because the effort of the principal will be spent on correcting actual violation rather than trying to figure out whether or not you violated it or not. Also, it is going to be less costly to the principal because the constituents or the clients will do most of the monitoring work, and there is very small cost for the principal to actually just hear from the constituents and the clients. So, but if fire alarm is as good as I have just portrayed now, then why do we have police patrol at all? Then every kind of principal agent oversight should be in the form of fire alarm. There are actually we can raise at least two opposition to the fire alarm mode. So the first opposition to the fire alarm method is the lack of representation. So as we already discussed, that fire alarm is very costly to the client because they have to monitoring the agent all the time. Not all the constituents or the clients of the agent are well represented and well organized. So if they do not have a formal organization, then they will not have as much say as other groups over the agent's behavior. So let's say we can think about SEC, who has two clients. One client is all the banks. The other clients is all the rest of the ordinary people of the United States. And you can think the principal as the U.S. Congress. So if the SEC actually over-regulates the banks can bring complaints to the Congress, saying that the regulation are just killing our business. Or if the SEC is under-regulate the banks and other financial institutions, ordinary people should also bring complaints to the Congress, saying that SEC is not doing their job and I'm getting screwed by some big-time bankers. Now, obviously, bankers have much better organization and political action, collective action power ability than ordinary people, who barely has any organization at all. So it is all but natural that SEC is more likely to be responsive to the over-regulation of the banks because bankers can sound the fire alarm far more than ordinary people. So that is one shortcoming of the fire alarm mode. The second shortcoming of fire alarm mode is that it actually gives agent a perverse incentive not to exerting as many effort as he should. To illustrate this point, let's consider what we call a customer service model. So here is set up. The agent can decide, at the first step, the agent can decide whether or not he wants to learn costly that the state of the world is small a is whether 0 or 1. After that, agent decide how to allocate the resources large A to the client, so A can be 0 and 1. And so he can either distribute it intelligently or he can distribute it blindly. After the agent did this distribution, the client decide whether or not he wants to complain that he is unfairly treated. So that is a fire alarm system. Then after the client ring the fire alarm, the principal can decide whether or not he's actually going to punish the agent. So we are going to consider the case that where client always complain about the distribution. So in that case, what we know is that when client is always complaining, so when the client always complain if he does not get A equals to 1, then there is no incentive for agent to make a choice otherwise. Although the principal would like the agent to actually give exactly when the to give exactly what the state of the world is. Why? Because if the agent always give client 1, okay, the client never complain, and the principal, because the client never complain, the principal will never know that agent is slacking off, because when the state of the world is actually small or is 0, principal would like the agent to give the client 0. Although client then will raise a complaint, and if there's a uncertainty around whether or not the state of the world is 0, agent always risky being complained when he hand out 0. So a natural, so the moral of the story here is that fire alarm does not give agency enough ex-ante incentive to exert adequate effort. So the optimal solution here will be, so the best scheme is actually to, first you want to do random police patrol. That means you want to use fire alarm. You do want to find out when the agent is colluding with the client. By random police patrol, you will catch them red-handed. So the agent, it is not optimal for agents to always capitulate to client's need. But you can also achieve better oversight by fine-tuning the density of the patrol. When there is no complaint, that must mean that when there's no complaint and you know that the client is quite unreasonable, that means the client is greedy. He always wants more than what he deserves, and then there is no complaint. That means the agent is not exerting high enough efforts to figure out whether the state of the world is 0 or 1, and he always gives the client what he wants. That is why there is no patrol. There is no fire alarm. When there is no complaints, you should over patrol because you know the agent is colluding with the client. Where there are complaints, some of them may be legitimate. You actually probably do not want to patrol as hard as you need because you know that the agent is exerting some level of effort in figuring out whether or not there's 0 and 1. And that could explain why some of the bureaucracy will be unresponsive to clients' complaint, because the principal deliberately allowed them to make some mistake so that they will have incentive to exert enough effort to be the safeguard of principal's interest. And it is worthy pointing out that the reason why the agent was in such a dilemma is because the client and the principal has a difference in preference. If the client and the principal has identical preference, then capitulate to client is actually serving the principal's best interest.